right, guys, well, everybody's talking about part 2 of Wicked for Good, as the first trailer is circulating now, and I keep seeing the narrative that Glinda and Elphaba are gay for one another, which as a musical theater fan, that is news to me. So what is going on? Are they gay? Are we being queer baited? Or as usual, are people making something gay where it doesn't need to be? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe, as today we're going to be talking about Wicked for Good, which is going to re-enter the story of Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda as they go through this magical, crazy journey through Oz. Now, everybody's saying that Glinda and Elphaba are gay, or at least they're shipping them and hoping that they're gay. They're becoming stans to the ship name Gelfie, which is Glinda and Elphaba mixed together. And apparently, this is the lesbian couple to end all lesbian couples. I'm going to read you some posts that I found on X of people discussing this, and this isn't new. During the first Wicked press tour, everybody was shipping Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo together, even though they're both in their own respective relationships. People are saying that Glinda and Elphaba are meant to be gay with one another, and that this is a lesbian couple if anybody ever saw one, even though we have a male love interest in the movie Wicked in the name of Fiyero, who's going to return in Wicked for Good. Nonetheless, let's read some of these posts. On a real note, it makes me so incredibly emotional seeing so many people talk about the queerness in Wicked, like having a main member of the cast called Glinda and Elphaba lesbian/bisexual respectively is so incredibly important. Guys, my sixth lesbian sense is screaming that Glinda will explicitly acknowledge her romantic feelings for Elphaba in Wicked for Good. We also have this video that's recently gone viral from Marissa Bode, who plays Nessa in Wicked, where she's talking about the sexual orientation of many of the characters and giving her little prediction as to what their orientation is. Let's listen.
In response to the article that came out yesterday where I said, I think, in my opinion, that the main characters are all queer in some way. Me, in my brain, canonically, these are my thoughts. Glinda is a lesbian, Elphaba is bisexual, Nessa Rose is bisexual, Fiyero is bisexual, Bach is questioning but queer in some way, Dr. Dillerman, gay. Madame Marble is a lesbian who was deeply in love once, but something happened to her love, which is now why she is the way that she is. The Wizard is also questioning but queer in some way. Those are my thoughts. Really hoping this stays on queer TikTok and not the other side. And I'm joking, but also, no, I'm not. Do with that what you will. Goodbye.
And of course, it's no surprise that Marissa Bode is a lesbian herself, or I believe queer. She has a girlfriend. So this does seem to be a little bit of projection of self onto every single main character in Wicked, which is all fun and games, right? She says, you know, I'm not serious, but I am serious. And people are allowed to do with this what they will. But I do find it interesting that we feel this need to project sexuality, and in particular queer sexuality, onto things where we really have little to no indication that there is queer sexuality going on. Marissa Bode is not the only cast member to sort of allude to this perceived reality when it comes to Glinda and Elphaba. In this Deadline headline, it says Ariana Grande and Kristen Chenoweth agree that Wicked's Glinda might be a little queer. That is what Ariana Grande has posted about online, and Kristen Chenoweth, who originated the role of Glinda on Broadway, has said, you know, I felt a little bit that way too, or something along those lines, as she played the role of Glinda in New York City. We also have many a clip of Ariana Grande sort of teasing and playing around with the idea of queerness in Glinda's storyline.
Glinda might be a little in the closet.
And Cynthia Erivo, who plays Elphaba, who also happens to be, I believe, bisexual or lesbian, I'm not sure, has also played into this idea.
She was seeing it because she was in queer media. And I was like, I honestly didn't know.
So I guess instead of holding space for defying gravity, we're now holding space for the idea that Glinda and Elphaba are defying their heterosexual storylines? I don't know. And now this idea has become so shared online that people are effectively accusing Wicked for Good of queer baiting in their marketing, which means you're essentially baiting people into thinking there's going to be a queer or homosexual storyline, when in reality, these are going to be heterosexual characters. So you're getting them excited for no reason. This tweet reads, getting queer baited by Wicked in the year 2025 is insane, but I am queer and I have been baited. This other one reads, propaganda I will be falling for, whatever the fuck this is, with a photo of Cynthia and Ariana Grande. Now, at the end of the day, I get it. This is fun and games. And to be honest, I don't care all that much. And of course, I certainly don't care who somebody loves. If you're a girl who likes girls, a boy who likes boys, a boy who likes girls, and a girl who likes boys, I don't know. I don't care at the end of the day. It's just interesting to watch a story that we know has a heterosexual lean with both Elphaba and Fiyero and Glinda and Fiyero be turned into something something that we know it's not. And I have to wonder why we feel the need to sexualize these things over and over and over again. And of course, as we move forward as a society, the sexualization becomes increasingly queer, as that's now the dedicated storyline that we have as far as activist movements and social politics. And of course, it is Pride Month, so this conversation is happening in tandem with a lot of gay and queer conversations, as nearly every corporation that exists queer baits us with their little rainbow logos for 1 month. And this is not the first nor the last time this will happen. People do this with storylines all the time. They do it with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. They do it with superheroes. They've done it with our founding fathers. They love taking ideas of platonic friendship or two characters that share the same sex and making them into something that's gay. With this whole Wicked thing, I've even seen people drawing cartoons of Glinda and Elphaba doing less than wholesome activities online. And to each their own, but could there be a little bit of a deeper issue here that we feel the need to sexualize platonic examples of love, and a deep love at that? Glinda and Elphaba are a unique example of a profound friendship. It is wholly platonic, and it's a powerful platonic love that is found in a world where each of them are struggling to know what love even looks like. And yes, platonic love. And to immediately sexualize that is to, I think, take away a lot of the power of the relationship that the two build across the entire storyline. We should be allowed to have intimate platonic relationships with the same sex without them being shipped as a lesbian couple. And there is an argument to be made that making this into a romantic or sexual connection actually devalues the relationship that we're watching play out on screen. For when there's attraction or some sort of romantic gain to be gleaned from the relationship between these two characters, they're not doing what they're doing out of pure kindness, out of love, out of altruism. It's out of something else. It's out of attraction. It's out of sexual gain. Glinda immediately judges Elphaba for how she looks and how she acts, and for what Elphaba has and Glinda does not, and learns to love Elphaba, to befriend Elphaba, to be kind to Elphaba without sexual or romantic attraction. Not to mention that there's also a romantic and sexual connection between both Glinda and Elphaba and Fiyero, so their whole friendship gets a little muddied up by the fact that this male protagonist slash antagonist at the same time enters the storyline, and they are both attracted to him. So I'm not really understanding why we're making the storyline into this lesbian sexual arc. So let's be honest, the people that are doing this are just doing this for their own self-representation. It's kind of like when Marissa Bode, who just so happens to be lesbian, says that she believes every single main character in Wicked is also somehow queer, lesbian, bisexual, or gay. It's very reminiscent of the race swapping that we're seeing in films and TV these days, where we take a character who we know canonically is a certain race, and then we just completely swap it out for our own, I guess, political needs. We want to feel represented. We want to feel seen. And so we take something that traditionally is one way and switch it to make ourselves be reflected in it. But we don't need to be reflected in everything at all times. And instead, we should look at Wicked or Wicked for Good and see how our lives are reflected maybe in the platonic love that is shared between Elphaba and Glinda. And if our lives are not reflected in that, where do we find that powerful platonic love that is represented on screen by these two characters? We do not need to claim everything at all times. And oftentimes when we do go and claim something in our grasp of the storyline or of the characters, we're actually ripping away something that's probably far more powerful than anything we would have inserted into the storyline. Oftentimes when you meet somebody who's really loud about who they are and they're screaming it from the rooftops, or they're claiming things for themselves where they shouldn't be claimed, you can see that underlying that force is a little bit of insecurity. And I can't help but think that a lot of what's driving the queer shipping of Elphaba and Glinda is maybe an insecurity about sexuality and queerness, or even broader than that, just an insecurity about identity in itself. And the insecurity is naturally going to come about because we shouldn't be labeling everything like this in the way that we are every single day, all the time. But when you feel the need to take characters that are explicitly not labeled in the way you are labeling them online, and then choose to drive home this storyline that they are in fact queer or bisexual or lesbian, I have to believe that you must just be insecure about those labels in themselves. And I think sometimes when we put these labels on things, we feel like it becomes more of a representation of ourselves, like we become more connected to this thing because it's labeled lesbian, bisexual, or queer. But I would warn against that, because I think if you look into the story of Wicked, its background, why it was created, and the message it was meant to share to the general public, you will feel more represented in that than some random story that you slap the label of bisexual, queer, or lesbian on. We are all going to struggle with and think through ideas of power, kindness, altruism, morality, romantic conflict, platonic love, what it means to judge others, what it means to be oppressed. And these are all central central themes of Wicked without the label of queerness and without talks of sexuality. This can apply to all at any given moment, and that's really one of the central ideas behind the movie and the musical itself. I mean, at this point, I cannot stress enough how abundantly clear it's made that Gelfie and Glinda share a platonic friendship. And since part 2 of Wicked is called Wicked for Good, I'll actually point you guys to the lyrics from the song For Good, and I'll read where it says, "And now, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend." And this is what Glinda and Elphaba sing to one another. So it's clear. So does making Glinda and Elphaba into Gelfie drive that home more for you, or does it make the story about something that it's not? I'll leave that to you, but you've got my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get out, but do so respectfully. I encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification button to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is just about every day. And I will see you guys next time.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.